What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 31 of News Bytes on the Block Exploring podcast. Here with me is Tommy, as always. And this week, we're going to be talking to you about everything that happened this last few days in the crypto space. That includes the Shiba Inu dump, the future of DeFi, what will it look like in 5 years, and what will crypto and NFTs look like post pandemic in a more physical world. Now, tune in to find out. Tommy, this week, if we look at the state of the market, I think we can agree Ethereum has been kind of the shining star. I think it reached all-time highs. A lot of speculation is going on about the future of Ethereum. Will it go to, cross 10K? What's the next price mark?
Yeah, that's the big meme number, right? The 10K.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's I mean most people think it's very possible, right? I mean
Hmm.
obviously if you're a big believer in ETH, but yeah, we'll just have to see. But like these developments are very positive, especially like market responses to like developments in the ETH in in the Ethereum on the Ethereum network. Like
Hmm.
it's incredibly bullish, especially what we talked about last episode in terms of the deflationary issuance. I think the market is starting to factor in like the immense amount of value that Ethereum brings.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. That's yeah, and also the fact that it's so, like there's a lot of projects that are being programmed onto the Ethereum mainnet, and it
Mhm.
adds so much value to Ethereum itself. So there can be projects that essentially this is purely theoretical, and of course, nothing that we say is financial advice,
Mhm.
but they could just effectively double the effective value of Ethereum.
Mhm.
Now, I think besides Ethereum, Bitcoin has been quite stable. It dropped a bit, I think like 4%, and it was a really good buying opportunity.
Mhm.
And as usual, a lot of ETH competitors are doing well, but also a lot of DeFi projects like Luna has been doing great. And yeah, in other news, Shiba Inu dropped quite a bit after a whale sold 2.3 billion US dollar worth of Shiba. And I mean, if you tuned into, I think 3 or 4 episodes ago, when I did a deep dive into Shiba Inu and what the ecosystem was like, what the community was like, I said a lot of positive things, but I also um, showed that 2.3 billion, or at least a very large amount of Shiba Inu at the time, was being held by very few, and that was something to take into account. And I think that this drop, though it wasn't as catastrophic as like the Squid Game rug pull,
Mhm.
I think it is a cautionary tale, and it shows people that on-chain analysis, so using services like Etherscan and similar services, helps a lot with kind of mitigating and predicting these kinds of risks. So yeah, that was overall the state of the market.
Yeah, I can't say
Um,
that Shiv news wasn't coming,
mhm.
and I think it definitely, I mean, shows the project for what it is as well. Like, as in, you know, like, of course they're gonna promote like this community is like a main aspect of it, and they're pretty open and honest in terms of like what they are as a project. But
Mhm.
like ultimately, like it's a meme token, and like it's supposed to just pump and dump, and this is kind of what it does, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, especially what you I mean, it's definitely a cautionary tale, as you say, and like you know, like as much as people, I mean, I think that the people should look into block explorers and like
Mhm.
look into on-chain analysis because that'll greatly benefit them. But like with things like meme tokens and shit coins like this, like
Mhm.
oftentimes it's just yeah, you're gambling when you put your money in this thing in this token, and if you don't care about anything, like if you don't care about the community or you don't care about the meme or whatever, it really is just a gamble,
Yeah.
with these meme tokens.
No, that's definitely true. That's yeah, exactly. That's the risk you take.
Hmm.
But I think if you
It's a good meme.
yeah, exactly. And also if you look at the potential that it has for like self-governance and kind of like the voting system that they have, and
Right.
kind of like the community based growth without any um, kind of like larger entity steering and deciding where like the allocation of finances go to. I think it's a in a way also a positive tale. You can really see like the value of community.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, sure, but that's it didn't take Shib to show us that, and it also didn't. Yeah, it didn't take Shib to show us that, like, the significance of community, and like there are loads of great communities that aren't, centered around this meme token. But yeah,
No,
it's
that's true. But what I mean by it is more like like the ETH community is really good,
yeah.
really big too. But a lot of like the original kind of growth of Ethereum really came from that core development team, right? They were like the main guys steering kind of the change. I think if you compare that to the way like the organic, very much from the start, community was the one kind of pushing the value of Shiba Inu up. I would make an argument that like the main value that is in Shiba Inu is just like community based. It's not per se, um, on the technical level. It's not per se on like a utility level. It's just community. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely disagree with that illustration
Hmm.
of like Ethereum's development and like what gives it value. But no, I mean, in the end, like ultimately, like what we're getting at is that like there's a significance and a premium to a good community with when associated with these projects. Because I often say there's often like two sides of like
Hmm.
the success of these types of projects. It's one is like the practical use cases, utility of the project, like the product of said project. But then the other side of what makes that like successful is the community,
Hmm.
which is why people put to use the word again, premium on like community like builders, community managers, and they get paid very well in crypto space because people know that in the crypto world, like builders or project leads in the crypto community space, they know that like community is king ultimately.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And on the topic of development,
Mhm.
let's see. DeFi, right?
Yep.
We were talking about DeFi before this episode, and we both read this article about the future of DeFi and
Mhm.
where the space will be in 5 years.
All right.
And well, someone made a comparison that the total value of the liquidity that's going on in DeFi projects right now is about 230 billion,
Mhm.
and compare that to traditional finance and like the derivatives market, that's like a minuscule amount, and it only makes us wonder where will it be in 5 years, because the capital market right now is over $100 trillion.
Right.
Insurance is 6 trillion, and DeFi is only at 250 or 240 billion, and consumer banking is at 2.3 trillion.
Mhm.
So that's kind of to put that into account, or at least into perspective.
Right.
And of course, like the first thing I think about, right, is that recently DYDX
Mhm.
uh, launched, right? So
Yeah.
that's basically the crypto equivalent of a derivatives market.
Mhm.
And what's a derivative? Derivative? It's a securitized contract, and the value of that contract depends kind of on one or more underlying assets, and kind of the price of the derivative, of kind of that pack, is determined by the fluctuations in those assets or in that asset specifically.
Mhm.
And it's one of those risky things in crypto because they can very easily fall under securities law. But I think that it shows definitely a super large demand for a complete overhaul of traditional finance and just a full move towards decentralized finance, because otherwise there wouldn't be any demand for
Mhm.
a derivatives market like this.
No, exactly, and I think that is just a incredible like top line of DeFi has grown 100 times in 5 years, and like to
Hmm.
think, and and that's what's incredible because DeFi truly was the financial layer that needed to be created. That for everything else to be built upon in these on these networks. For example, like if we're talking about NFTs, right? Like
Hmm.
this, we're only able to trade NFTs and do these cool things with NFTs, because we have this DeFi infrastructure, this
Yeah.
this money layer, that's this banking layer, so to speak, the economic layer. There's a lot of labels to it, but there's we have the network layer, which is where everything gets validated. But then before anything else could be built upon that, this financial layer needed to be created to
Hmm.
give us the tools for us to do, well, everything else, to have e-commerce within the metaverse, to have the ability to trade NFTs, and for things to have value, for different tokens to have value to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think, like, I think that's super cool in itself, like the evolution of DeFi and what that actually means for blockchain technology and blockchain networks. But then, like, it's obviously what is the potential, and like you speak about things like DYDX, they're
Hmm.
doing incredible things with derivatives, but like they're just all kinds of financial products that are being created, in this DeFi ecosystem, which I think is awesome. Like different kinds of you know indexes, or different types of ways where people can accumulate value within DeFi. I think it's pretty amazing because there are different projects where you can for example, provide liquidity for other people to use your liquidity to trade with, but then as a result you get um, commissions, or you get fees. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
there's all kinds of things that are possible, which is super interesting about DeFi. And people were really hoping for another DeFi summer
Yeah.
this summer, and I don't think it. I think NFTs just overshadowed that completely.
Yeah.
But DeFi will evolve, and people will get excited about DeFi again. Because DeFi is essential, quite frankly.
No, it's true. I think also a lot of the growth in the DeFi sector will come from
Hmm.
well, higher measures of protection for liquidity providers and like
Hmm.
more efficient liquidity pools, which bounce back a bit more to when people well decide to withdraw a bunch of liquidity because you can't really make people keep their liquidity in liquidity pools. So that kind of aspect of I guess it's more like a liquidity provider protection
Hmm.
and more efficient ways to deal with kind of like impermanent loss.
Hmm.
That's what really will drive DeFi forward. I feel like it will make it very much you know it will be like less the boys getting wrecked in the liquidity pool
Yeah.
and more like making use of this ecosystem.
Right. No, that definitely true. Like I think the whole process of getting into DeFi could be made easier for sure. Like, of course, they're
Hmm.
like good tools for onboarding. Like, there's loads of like great fiat to DeFi on ramps, like Crypto.com's got a good DeFi wallet, I think. Or
Hmm.
what else is there? There's Dharma. That's another service, I believe. I don't use these services to interact with my DeFi protocols, but if you needed that easy on ramp, like
Hmm.
it's there. But I think for me, what's gonna drive DeFi forward is education. Like when people are aware that like of what, well, once people start tickling themselves with what like crypto and blockchain is, right? They start learning about. I think for both of us, that getting into this space really drove us towards learning about money, the economic, like the financial, like we might have been trading before, but
Yeah.
I feel like when I was trading stocks and all kinds on other different assets, I wasn't as driven to understand the fundamentals of the financial market, the global financial market, and how different things and how money works around the world, and the history
Hmm.
of money and stuff like that. And once people start educating themselves on that, they'll understand the value of DeFi and like how much value they can get from DeFi, and then further educate themselves. You know,
Yeah.
there's like
And
because there's one thing where we want to make things so easy for people, like it's just so simple for them to do this, that, the other, right? But
hmm
there's also something to be said about like people genuinely being educated about what they're getting into, and
yeah.
that in itself, provides exponential value, in my opinion. Obviously, it coupled with then the ability to use these services because you have the knowledge and the know abouts, to do so.
Yeah, completely agree. I also can't wait to see
Mhm.
how these developments will play out once we're like hopefully beyond the pandemic, right? Like I remember it was like 2017. I was in Amsterdam. I went to like a blockchain expo,
Yeah,
and I learned so much in such a small amount of time
yeah,
from just seeing real people talk about crypto and really sitting down with you and getting you into it, like taking you basically by the hand, showing you like these new protocols. I
right,
remember
yeah,
like there was like, damn, what was it called? It was like this super there was like a chain link conference going on. People were showing like, hey, this is kind of like our beginning idea for how an oracle is supposed to work,
mhm,
blah blah blah. And that was I think that's definitely that kind of merger of the crypto space with the physical space, and
mhm,
seeing crypto and its functionality bleed into real life,
yeah.
that will make the space so much more interesting.
I think so as well. Like, just because there's so much possible, but when you look at the intersection between, you know, what's possible between our digital world and real life, especially when I was going to this NFT UK event this weekend, where well, in the middle of the week really, where it was my first crypto event, at least it was my first experience going to a crypto blockchain NFT based event, and I was so overwhelmed by how many people were there, and I think everyone felt the same way. But then it was so cool to then take these conversations from Twitter and then like transport them to like this bar with a lot of people wearing Bored Ape Yacht Club merch or like other merch, and people meeting each other from different crypto based communities, and they had like the special commemorative NFT that you could scan and you can mint one of these NFTs, which was sick. Yeah, so like things like that, that is already like a small example of like how these things can like merge in a cool way. But I
Yeah,
think I'm bullish on crypto blockchain NFT based uh events, basically in person events,
no, I can
not
imagine.
just in the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like what you were saying, that you met some folks
Hmm.
who were using like the Gary V
Yeah, who had some
NFT,
VFriends NFTs and
some V friends. Yeah, exactly. And like seeing that bleed into the real world must have been really cool.
yeah, because
So
I'm pretty sure they didn't know each other before.
yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Maybe the real gains were the friends that we made along the way. So
Exactly, exactly.
I think with that being said, right, that was the end of this episode of the Block Exploring podcast.
Mhm.
Check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on YouTube, and check out our Discord. It's all in the description, and we hope to see you there.
We're
Uh,
boycotting
see
Meta.
you on exactly.
See you
We'll
guys.
see you on Mondays and Thursdays from now on. Peace.